Welcome back. Let's give you some sports news. And, well, the South African Football Association has fired Bafana coach Molefi Ntseki. His dismissal follows failure to qualify the team for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations tournament in Cameroon. Now, SAFA says it will meet in due course to strategize on a way forward.
The aim has always been to qualify. We have apologized to say, look, it happened. And we own up that as the association, we failed the nation. You don't apologize if you don't take the blame. So the National Executive Committee, when they sent me here, they took the blame and said, we need to apologize to the nation to say, we know what it does emotionally to the nation. And of course, the second one, as I said, those decisions just came in around 10 o'clock. Part of us as admin is to go and sit down with the coach and his representative and pave a clear way forward. But there has not been any formal communication to the coach, that I can assure you.
What I can only respond is on the technical issue. I think you talk about the time frame. You know, as technical committee, we still have to meet with the coach as agreed. We know we must have a report of the two games. And after getting the report, it's then the technical committee can then agree that what is the way forward in terms of whether there should be a replacement of other coach. How do we then do that within the short space of time? But that will be entirely the recommendation by the technical committee. After, actually, we should also have a report so that even if the coach, the new coach is recruited, then he must then get the report of the previous coach, what happened, what transpired in terms of qualification. Thanks very much.
You know, having followed Bafana for 20 years, what we've seen is pretty much a constant decline in the performance of the national team, with coach after coach after coach being sacked. Yes, there's been the odd upturn. From a SAFA perspective, and with Danny Jordan not present, perhaps Mr. Maluleke can answer this. Is anything taken into consideration other than the coach, and is it not time to look at what's going on beyond just hiring and firing coaches over and over and over again?
I'm not sure that I get the question very clear, but I will attempt, and it's unfortunate because the CEO said I must answer such questions on behalf of the president, of which I'm not the president, I'm the chair of the technical. I think we have a program.
We apologize for the loss of sound on that, but as you can see, what does one say? That press conference anyway that happened earlier today, it could show a lot of people, us who were looking out at it, we could tell that there was a lot of unplannedness, if I can put it that way, for lack of a better word, from SAFA. I do not want to go hard into that. One, you heard the CEO speak of the fact that the coach was not even aware, was not even told by the time that they had that meeting at 10 o'clock where they decided to fire him. We heard the technical chairman there saying their job is not to hire or fire coaches, yet he was there answering calls on behalf of the president of the South African Football Association, Dr. Danny Jordan. A lot of questions left unanswered. We heard some of the journalists say 20 years on, we're still speaking the same language, Bafana Bafana firing coaches, but there seems to be no checks and balances at the top where it all begins, because if the leadership is missing somewhere, then it filters down, doesn't it? Well, to try and unpack this, we joined Clyde Tlou, who's a sports journalist. Clyde, welcome to the program. I'm not quite sure how much of what that interview you got, if you did hear it at all, but please, maybe let's start here. Speak to us about your views, with particular to the press conference that happened today. A lot of people out there, most of our colleagues, saying it was a farce.
Good evening, and thank you to all the viewers. And once again, thank you for the opportunity. I must say, firstly, I was disappointed by the president of the association not being present at that press conference. You'll expect, after such a big crisis, the leader to be there and be addressing the media. And the person that he sent, or should I say the representative from the technical committee, he didn't look like he had the right answers. I felt like the outcome Bafana's failure is a bit unfair on the coach to begin with. I don't feel like he deserved to be hired in that position in the first place. I felt that despite him being an assistant to all the national teams, the senior national team was a job which was like punching above his weight. And when you look at it, his technical team wasn't helping either. He had Atazwane and Kwanele Kopo. These are coaches that have been that have been head coaches at Diski Challenge level. So now we are not talking junior national teams here. We're talking Bafana Bafana. That's a big brand. That's a brand that the association paid big money to wrestle away from the person that had trademarked it. If you recall, I don't know how much money they paid to regain that name, Bafana Bafana. And the way that they're treating it, it's just not showing the respect that it deserves. And I feel like the people that hired the coach should have actually gone with him. I was surprised when the chairman of the technical committee, Mr. Chek Maluleke, said, the coach has been sacked, and he didn't say, I'm also offering to resign. Because if you look at it, if you are a cook and you make 2 dishes, I would assume this is the same technical committee that hired Stuart Baxter, and he's gone, and they brought in Molefi Ntseki, and he's gone. So if you are a cook and you make 2 pots and 2 of those pots are spilled and no one wants to eat them, then the problem is you, the cook. You need to step aside. You need to find another cook. So I was really disappointed that it's only the coach that's taking the heat from this.
Clyde, let's come back possibly to what I said earlier. It's easy to blame the coach. I mean, Molefi Ntseki came in he's been in the job less than 9 months, or 9 matches anyway. He took over from, as you said, from Baxter in 2019. It's easy to point fingers and say, yeah, his structures, maybe he's not the right man for the job. At the press conference, we heard the likes of John Timark, some senior reporters within South African football, ask this question. And I'll put it to you as a football journalist yourself. When will the time come? And I heard the answer from the CEO saying, we are elected officials, or some of them are elected officials. It's not a question of them having to leave. They'll have to be voted out. If they want to run again, they'll run again. When will the time come? Is there no shame? Let me rephrase that. Is there no shame at SAFA for somebody to actually raise their hand, like you're saying, instead of saying, the coach must go, yes, as technical, we have failed, we should be marching ahead of the coach and leaving our positions? Is there no shame there?
I think this comes down to conscience. How much do you love your country? If you are serving your country, you will know my time is up. I have failed my country. I need to hand over the baton. And by the look of it, it's people that are serving their own interests. And if these people are serving their own interests, they wouldn't care about the country. It's all about the stomach politics. If I resign, it means I don't have income, and that's understandable. They need income. But now this is a matter of national interest. And when you look at it, the national team has been in shambles for a long period. The last time they qualified for a World Cup was 2002. And from what I'm hearing, one of the possible coaches is the coach that was the last man to qualify the team. So when he comes here, he'll be like, okay, so I'm finding you where I didn't leave you at. So let's see how do we take it forward. I think if that's him, he would have been a great candidate, because when you look at it, he doesn't just come with the knowledge of coaching a team. He brings a full dossier of how to structure everything and get the team to succeed. You talk about the US, how they succeeded. You talk about Iran, how they got to a World Cup. It's a plan that he drafts as a coach. He treats a country that he goes into more like a technical director should. And right now, I feel like the technical director that is at the association, I know they will tell you about years of experience in football, but is he in touch with the modern trends? The coaches, are they really equipped to coach a senior national team? As I said, the leadership there, they need to raise their hand and say, look, the coach was honest enough. He said, I failed, but all these guys are not owning up. So all of them are hiding behind the coach and saying, you failed. Yeah, you go. Then we will just hide behind you. But now it's about them. They need to step down.
I mean, there's an indictment, isn't it? The coach came out and said, I've failed in my objective to try and get the country to qualify. Yet today you had officials of SAFA, the CEO, saying, hey, it's not my job. I'm just here to watch over admin. Then you had the technical director saying, well, actually, it's not my job. I'm just here from someone who's the chair of the technical side of aspect of it. And the man who these questions should have been pointed out to is Daniel Dunn. Now, Daniel Dunn, with all due respect to him, has been at that seat for a long time. The question is, why does he remain? Why is he still there before we move on to possibility of other coaches? Why do you think Daniel Dunn does not want to leave the position? We know he's tried to get into, he was trounced at COSAFA. Nobody believes in him, if I can put it that way, if he could not even get to lead COSAFA. Why is he still there? Why does he not leave?
I think for us to point fingers at Danny alone, it's not adequate. We need to point fingers at the people that vote for him. He doesn't vote for himself. He's not majority. He gets majority. So there is like a majority of people at SAFA that believe he's still the man. And if the whole country feels Danny is failing, and the very same people feel he's doing a great job, we need to look at them as a group. These are people that we've said they are our leaders. And a good friend once said, every generation gets the leaders it deserves. And I keep wondering, what did we do to deserve this?
And you're right. The CEO did say that if they decide to run again, so be it. If they voted into those positions again, so be it. It's not up to anyone besides the people who vote for the leadership at SAFA to make that decision. Let's come back now to the question that a lot of South Africans woke up grappling with, or maybe not woke up with it, but I think as of last night, we kind of had the feeling that this was going to go south for Molefi Ntseki. The names that one pops up, you mentioned a couple, a lot of names that have always been there in the back of the mind of South Africans. Renard has always been one of the big names. The question is South African football, do we have the stomach, for example, if I can put it that way, for a big hitter like Renard as a coach?
It depends what our objectives. Right now, I think the aim has been always Vision 2022. It's at its climax. This is 2021. So the coach that you bring in now, it should be somebody with a short-term mind, which is qualify the team for 2022. So if you are thinking beyond that, then you can bring in an assistant, somebody who will take over after the 2022 World Cup. But right now, you need a big hitter. You are thinking of, if it was up to me, I would say Carlos Queiroz is a great gamble. This man got to the U.S. The U.S. football, U.S. was famous for other sports, not soccer, as they call it. And he got there and he structured their football. They qualified for a lot of World Cups. And ever since he whatever books that he left for them and said, this is what you should be doing, they followed it to the latter, and they are achieving results.
Yes.
He went on to Iran, and I don't think anyone would have imagined Iran playing at a World Cup, and he qualified them at the World Cup. He was in South Africa, and he qualified South Africa to their last World Cup. So this is a man who knows how to qualify. So if you're looking for someone to qualify a team right now, I think he's the best candidate. Renard, I don't see him leaving Morocco.
Yeah.
Besides that, the Morocco and South African political tension, it will just be heightened by us trying to snoop for their coach. And then the people who are talking about Benny, I think he will be a great candidate, but short term, he doesn't have international experience. So as I said, short term, he's not the best candidate if you want to qualify for 2022 World Cup.
Yeah.
But if you bring him in with a Carlos Queiroz, you qualify for the World Cup, and then after the World Cup, when Carlos Queiroz leaves, then Benny can take over and take the team forward. I think that's the best possible solution right now. A coach like Pito, who's a renowned international right now, when Molefi was appointed, he had suggested maybe we should appoint Benny and bring in the right people. The keyword being bring in the right people to support him. That's the backroom staff. And he made a reference to Algeria, how they got a legend to be the head coach and surrounded him with the right people. And what happened? Algeria went on to win the AFCON.
Yeah, indeed. I like how you speak. You're quite an optimistic person. 2022, you see us going to Qatar, do you?
As I said, we will need a big hit, like somebody who's done this thing for a while. And right now, I can only think of Carlos Queiroz as a structured coach, as a coach that he has been in a situation that we are in. Like, as I said, if you look at how USA has become a force in world football, you look at Iran, you wouldn't have imagined them at a World Cup.
Yes.
They went to a World Cup, and they were not just there to make up numbers. They competed in that World Cup.
Yeah.
I think one of their star players went on to to become the first ever Iran player to play in La Liga. So it tells you the kind of a structured coach he is. When he comes in, he brings in a right structure, and he's a qualifying coach. You know, there's relegation coaches that when a team is facing relegation, you call them and then they save you from relegation.
Yeah.
Carlos Queiroz is a coach that you bring in when you need that microwave result kind of thing, where you need qualification, but it will be a very difficult job to wrestle him away from Qatar.
Yeah, Clyde, we're running out of time. We've got about 2.5 minutes left. I want to bring in Banyana. With all the nonsense, if I can put it that way, for lack of a better word, in the men's team, our ladies, they're flying that flag. There is hope with South African football. The question is, why can't it transfer over? But let's speak of the ladies. They've been outstanding.
I think the ladies, it's all about the development. If you look at most of their players, they've come through the structures. You look at a young player like Polweni, she was at the Under-17 World Cup, and then went into the Senior Women's World Cup along with Karabo. I think Karabo, I forgot the last name. So the structure, there's a clear pipeline of this talent. Despite them not having a professional league, but these young kids, the people that are managing them, they're keeping track of how they're doing from under-17 all the way to the under-20s and all the way to the senior team, senior level team. So when you check, there's a few of them who are actually, when they're playing for Banyana, they don't have international cap.
Yes.
Most of them have international caps from junior level going all the way. And now we had an under-17 team that went to the World Cup with Molefi Ntseki. We had an under-20 World Cup that went with Thabo Sinong.
Yes.
Then we had an Olympics team that went to Brazil, played Brazil, I think. Was it Brazil Olympics?
Yes, 2016.
And if you look at all these junior teams, how many of them are in the senior national team?
Yeah.
We have a 30-year-old, I think it was Tabang Munari, making his debut in such an important game. That's an old man.
Yeah,
Find
in football
young
sense.
players that have international caps. It's a different ball game together.
Indeed. And I think maybe as well, Desiree Ellis, with the attention not being on the women's team, Desiree Ellis has gone around her business very quietly. She's scooped up accolades in the back end, and she's well progressed, and she's fulfilled a lot of things that I'm sure that maybe even the SAFA NEC were not expecting from her, because for lack, again, I stand to be corrected, they didn't seem to care much of what women, I mean, they don't have the sponsors. Corporate South Africa doesn't care much for women's football.
The other thing about them is how they prioritize schools football. Most of these young girls, they are scouted from schools. If you check varsity football, a lot of players come from there.
Yes.
So I think the scouting, their horizon for scouting is quite huge as compared to the senior men. And the women, I think they're passionate about what they're doing. Despite the money that they're earning, it's not even half of what Bafana gets, but the work they put in. These are people that are playing for the flag, they're playing for the badge, they are fighting. And it comes as no surprise as a lot of them keep going overseas as compared to their main counterparts.
Indeed. Clyde Tlou, we could speak the whole night. Thank you indeed for joining us. Interesting topic, interesting conversation, and hopefully we can have you back here when they do announce a new coach. You can tell us what your thoughts are, and as you said, maybe it'll be your pick. Carlos Queiroz, Clyde Tlou there, speaking to us, football journalist, about the firing of Molefi Ntseki. As you heard, this topic will never end. 20 years on, when I started as a young teeny bopper, we are speaking about coaches being fired at SAFA, and they still are being fired today. Anyway, stay with us. You're watching The Full View. At the top of the hour, more news with Criselda Lewis.